Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BARCastTV. Today we're going to do a little bit of a video I was suggested not too long ago, but to kind of review a game, maybe not quite entirely from my perspective, but to just go through my thought process as the game plays out and what's going through my head and what am I doing, right? So hopefully this works out as a format. And haven't done a video quite like this before, but to give some added context to this, we're playing on Acetus Crack. It can kind of go over the way. I think all four labs work pretty well on this. Lately, I've been trying to practice more vehicle opens, just kind of preparing for the BPL and whatnot. And my opponent is Modulo, who is a very strong player, sitting above 50 OS, right? He's got this lovely hat on. It's kind of cute. And yeah, it's not to be trifled with. I mean, he knows how to do everything. He can macro, he can micro. He knows how to transition. He knows where to put his army and units. So definitely a player to great player to practice against. So really looking to kind of play my best, of course. And this game, I'm not really entirely sure if this open is good or not, but I figured, hey, I can do kind of like a modified X Factor build here and do a short little walk up to here, grab these two mexes, put an LLT, and then walk back. Yeah, so that's what I end up doing here. And then my first con just like grabs this third mex over here, comes over here, and does that expansion, right? So you end up on, hey, maybe it's not quite 9 mexes straight away, but you're on 8, so good enough for me. Anyways, so I know I've done a video on this before, but it's really a pretty simple build, honestly. You just go 2 scouts, con, 4 scouts, maybe like 4 to 6 scouts. You just stay on the lab assisting these out, and then once they're done, you go and expand up to here. Then you do 3 incisors. I put 2 more scouts in the queue just for some extra vision, and then a second con. And then you just kind of make a bunch of incisors from there. So let me go on my player review. So really this part of the game is very standard, of course. I like most of the time during vehicle opens, I'll just go 2 scouts first pretty much every time. Okay. I want to turn this off actually. Kind of funny. Where is this at? I always lose this. Was it spectator? Spectator chat? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, always go 2 scouts first. You want to get across the map, see what your opponent's doing, and say you are playing against bots. The thing you're looking to do is to not lose these scouts and just kind of keep the pressure on. So that's what I try and do. Just be annoying. I'm not really looking to get damage. I just want to like keep these units on his side of the map and kind of sharking around. You can see he's not really running across the map straight away with his grunts. He's trying to hunt these down. So that's good for me. I ended up making 6 instead of my usual, 5? And here we go. Yeah, so I could have been a little better with this pathing, actually, watching this replay after the fact. No big deal. Commander comes out here. Probably could have been better with that pathing as well. And now these 3 incisors come out. And really what these are meant to do is protect this con and the main base, right? I'm not looking to send these incisors across the map just yet. We've got plenty of vision on his side of the map. I actually even saw this little grunt come over here, so you can see I redirect this. I know he's trying to come back here and grab this. I'm sure he knows I'm expanding that way. He actually, Modulo watched me play this same map, same open versus Neb, the game before this one. So he knew, he should have seen exactly what I was doing. So we're getting pretty close. I'll pause it again here and maybe explain what I'm thinking. So yada yada. Grab this grunt over there, clean that up. So feeling pretty good, don't have a lot of pressure on me. And then finally the commander comes back to the main and starts assisting the lab. So I'll pause it here. This is like kind of like a standard-ish build, right? I've got my 3 incisors, and really at this point I'm looking to kind of get some pressure on. So what I'm kind of looking to do is maybe send 1 incisor this way, 1 incisor this way. I'll actually keep a scout in tow. This is really important. I just select the scout and right click on the incisor so that stays with it. I think I end up doing it. Yep, with this one over here. So you'll see like as these move across the map, I can kind of move this scout forward and get vision in front of the tank to see if I can get a Nex or a Con, or not lose it to a pack of grunts, because the incisors in these low of numbers are pretty vulnerable to grunts, so you don't want to lose them. You don't want to be blending your incisors. It's a really important part about playing this style of vehicles, right? So here we go. Second Con comes out. Normally this is just scaling energy if you're on the 9 mechs, but I'm a little behind on metal here, so I feel compelled to expand with this second Con. Whereas most of the time when you're doing this build, you have a little extra metal, so you just want to kind of make a few wind turbines and then stay assisting the lab with the commander just to get more incisors out, because that's really all that's in my field queue right now, right? Just incisors and scouts. So expanding with this. Let me speed this up just a little bit. Maybe even look at the player cam for a moment. So I'm just doing my best to like keep track of his units. I saw those 3 grunts moving along the left side of the map, so I'm trying to cut those off with a few units, and eventually you get this like critical mass of tanks, and you want to be pressuring the bot player around like 5:30, 6 minutes into the game. But for now, I'm just trying to defend myself. Ooh, this is a little hectic. Sorry, I'll turn that off. So lost 1 tank over there. That was a bit of a blunder. This tank kind of gets away. There's another tank over there that's kind of sloppy, and Medulla's done a great job of actually getting units out. You can see like a pack of units over here, a pack of units over there. And this is really what you want to be doing actually against this style of build. It's being 2 places at once, right? The incisors are better when they're together, right? And kind of kiting the grunts. And if you can prevent that from happening as long as possible, kind of close the window I have as the vehicle player to exploit how strong the incisor is. Really, it's strong throughout, the entire game. It's kind of insane, but for now, he's doing a great job. That was a bit of a blunder there, kind of overstepped too close to my lab, and I was able to shave off a few grunts for free. Okay, so here's a point I was going to make. Didn't quite catch it exactly, right? But I saw these units moving in on my radar, and I knew this Con that was creating the smeks, I couldn't get that finished, or wouldn't want to get that finished and then instantly snipe. So what I did was, and what I would recommend doing is, if you know this Con is vulnerable, just to move it back to like an LLT or closer to your main. It's like, yeah, losing a Mex isn't as bad as losing a Con, right? So this just gives me time to move incisors into position and protect this expanding Con, right? So same thing's going on over here. Really, I'm just trying to protect these 2 Cons. I know these units are over here because of that little scuffle or that was happening over here, me trying to cut off these raiding, harassing grunts. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty comfortable, actually. Like I have my con turret's almost finished. Winds are dying, right? So I chose to make this solar with my commander. Maybe I would want a little bit more metal in the bank. I think I might actually stall metal here for a moment, and that brings me perhaps to my next point is if I'm ever really stalling metal like this, I'll just queue up a couple of rascals and like, hey, you might get refunded like a little bit of a tank. Of course, rascals don't cost as much metal per second as a medium tank or a incisor does. Yeah, nice. See, wind is super low right now, so if I was looking at this and thinking, well, how could I change it? Well, not having metal in the bank and being low on wind kind of sucks, so maybe that's another case to add a few rascals to the queue. They also don't cost a lot of energy compared to the incisor. But that would give me the opportunity to make a couple of solar collectors with my commander, right? So here I've got a little split off a contingent of incisors. I realized that it doesn't have a scout with it, so I was kind of trying to quickly get a rascal down there to provide vision for these tanks. As they crossed like this point on the map, I would want to have like vision of what's over here. I wouldn't want to see like a commander or, an arc of grunts that I can't really step into. So you need to get vision with your harassing units. Trying to chase down these 2 grunts, which actually got pretty insane value because Window's dying. So 2 grunts got 2 maxes and an LLT. It's a little unfortunate timing on my part, but considering that happens, I'm like, all right, I'll just bite the bullet. I'll walk the commander back up here for a moment, recap those 2 maxes, and add the LLT. And I think this was a decent trade. I caught this expanding Con. I caught the LLT as it was finishing. Here's where things got a little dicey, right? I have quite a bit of my army value on his side of the map, and like, oh, suddenly a bunch of grunts show up on my radar, right? So I need to find a way to defend this, and worst of all, my commander isn't even in my main base, right? So this situation is actually pretty dicey. So what I end up doing is making a couple of pounders, right? If I can get like at least one pounder out over here, and maybe walk my commander down this way, well, suddenly my base feels a little more protected. So we should end up seeing here. Yeah, pounder gets all. I ended up making 2 of them, right? Because there's 2 little packs of grunts. Snipe some more mexes here in the back line, but really my focus is on protecting my main base. So little bit of indecision here from Medulla, who steps into this LLT and then backs away with these grunts, and then this little pack of grunts on the left side actually ended up getting cleaned up pretty handedly by my pounder. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, I got a bit of damage. I'm still trying to find damage. I spot this resbot down here, so I know to try and catch that. There's an LLT over here. A little bit of mismicro, actually. I think this is a blunder. These units, I think I should have just turned around and walked that way instead of running into the 2 LLTs. I didn't quite notice that they're down. They're not really powered all the way, represented by that little lightning bolt, but nevertheless, you don't want to be blundering these incisors. You want to be kiting units, getting a proper amount of value with them. So here, I have some metal in the bank, accessing a little energy. To me, that says, okay, I need to make some extra build power. I need to get up my energy storage, and then maybe another con turret. What's doubly important here is there's actually quite a bit of reclaim in front of my main base. What is this? I mean, with that mix at the top, right? It's about 600 metal, which is, I mean, it's quite a bit of metal, right? So just staying on the lab with my commander. It's kind of been my mantra here the past couple of months, right? Can speak more to that, but I ended up adding like another con into here, slapping down this energy storage, right? It's kind of important. Back onto the lab here, and then I need to get into scaling wind, right? So 1, 2 cons expanding, and then this con should be, I guess it doesn't quite start scaling wind quite yet. More expansions, right? This is another blunder here. I lose a couple of these incisors kind of awkwardly. Not really important. These finally get cleaned up as well, so still feeling pretty comfortable and not too in danger. I got the radar is pretty much perfect. Like, yeah, I might not have great vision of like this con expanding here. This con's protected by everything in front of it, right? So I'm feeling pretty comfortable, and the only, like, the next radar I'm gonna get is over here, right? Because as you expand to like here and here, suddenly like units coming out of the radar shadow or coming out of the shadow into your radar coverage don't give you quite enough time to react. So this is about where I like to put my next set of radars, right? Here. You can't quite get one up here playing against vehicles, but this is a great radar spot as well. And then over here isn't too bad as well. So take a note. This is the second con I made that came over here, expanded here, expanded back here. And normally I would just, move into energy scaling, but considering this little section was raided, I feel compelled to come up here, add a radar, an LLT, and then I think even reclaim, right? I should be reclaiming this after a moment. But one thing to note in this game, I didn't quite, there was a lot going on, so I didn't really have the presence of mind to get into mines. But really, I think this is about the point in the game where you'd want to be getting into mines and start putting some kind of trappy, mines, like, maybe here, like here, maybe a couple mines here, right? Of course, you can put like obvious locations, like, I don't know, like just literally like this, right? You're half of the map, air quotes, but do with that as you will. But still, I'm trying to spend this metal I have in my bank. Wind's pretty high, so I don't really know why I'm making this solar here, but yeah, I definitely want to get this second contour up, which is what's happening now. And then I think I want to start maybe transitioning into medium tanks, just because I have so much metal in the bank. It's a little easier to spend with producing medium tanks over incisors. So here I have the 2 pounders out. I sent one to this far right side to protect this lane from attacks. I've got the other incisor over here, kind of protecting this lane, and that gives me a launching point to raid with my incisors, right? I can just pull the tank back if I need to, back to like a new group of tanks coming out of the factory, rejoin those, and then suddenly these incisors are free to kind of shark around the map and retreat if they need to. So just want to like slow down his expansions, try and deny these from going up. I want to deny this area from going up, right? And then of course secure that myself. So you can see that's what I'm doing here. I've got this con, putting the radar up like we talked about, and then pretty much past this mechs, I like to make exploiters. Learned that from Chisato. Same thing here. These are exploiters, radar, 2 more LLTs, just locking this down. I want to just don't want to focus on defending myself. I want to focus on raiding, microing my army, and not have to worry about controlling, defending these, right? Still trying to spend that metal, right? Maybe scale my E, of course, and maybe I should get another con turret, but here's another example, right? Like I knew I couldn't defend the con, units weren't in position, so I just shift, space, right click, back off of its queue to protect it, and then get units in position in front of it. So I felt pretty strong about this. Unfortunately, these, maybe fortunately, unfortunately, I lose these 2 incisors down here, but I know he's not expanding here with the con. I can actually spot his commander, right? So in my mind, this position here suddenly becomes not vulnerable, but like something I can attack, right? This position becomes something I can attack, even like the main base, right? I see this little opening here. Because I know there's no threat of the D-gun, right? Because the commander's down here, so I want to... I have incisors on the map still. I want to get value with them. And the last thing you want to do is throw them into a commander's D-gun, right? So now that I've spotted this con, I feel confident to attack this position here. So I'm just grouping my tanks up now, and I'll be moving to that position soon enough. I see this big raid over here, and I'm actually a little bit worried now. So once again, I'm kind of caught. You know, these units are out of position. I just got done moving most of my army to this right side, preparing to attack this position here. Just deny that expansion from going up, and I have to find a way to deal with this nice little group of incisors, right? So I think I decide on moving my commander up there. I want to try and cut this off. Maybe I second guessed myself. I'm like, nah, I need to spend this metal. I need to build power on my lab, so I'll just make another round of pounders, right? And should be setting that up here. Yeah, here's the pounder going up north, and I'll send a couple of medium tanks up that way as well. So just a lot going on at the moment. I think I queued up the second LLT because I know this con couldn't be expanding forward. I just don't want to waste that build power. And then yeah, this pounder got into position pretty quickly. I even took my garrison units. I'm not sure if that's what you'd call it, but took these garrison units and also moved them up here because I'm anticipating these incisors not really moving and attacking my main base, but trying to sweep behind my main and just clear out these expansions. So trying to get units in position to cut off these incisors, which of course mines would have been super helpful defending against this, right? Would have shut it down pretty hard. Now that I feel like this is kind of stabilized here, right? I can get back to microing and pressuring this position down here. So even like we talked about earlier, kind of diving into the main, maybe I can find some damage or at least draw him over here while I try and attack this position. I spot these res bots over here. This is a great little pick-off, actually. 3 res bots for free. Really nice. And let me pause here, think about what was going through my head. Right, okay, so maybe I overmade energy a little bit. Still, energy excess is super low, right? So maybe there's a case to like make another energy storage right now, but for sure I can like reclaim these basic solars, which if I reclaim 2, maybe buy 1 more energy storage, and then the other, a bit of metal goes into making tanks. Let me take a sip of water. Of course, I have to remind you guys, you know, thanks for watching, thanks for leaving the comments, and if you guys can, just, you know, like the video, subscribe. I know I think two-thirds of you aren't subscribed, so really helps me grow the channel. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed and is leaving comments, so it really helps me out, and I appreciate the well wishes, so thank you all. Anyway, so clean up this raid in the back of my main, and like we've been kind of foreshadowing, I make this big push over here, right? Because I'm still pretty confident his commander isn't close to this position, right? And I spot this inside, I spot this pounder, and I wasn't quick enough to like right click on it, right? So here's something I guess I can hang out here for a bit, but really what I was focusing on was just keeping my tanks in a line. And now that I spot, okay, there's a little bit of a reclaim field here forming, and I want to contest it, even though it is pretty close to his main base. I just don't want to give him this metal for free. So what I'm trying to do is micro as best I can, right? Keep my tanks in a line, right click down these pounders so they don't get their damage and value, and then camp this reclaim field, right? And I see, okay, I catch another 2 res bots. I guess I catch 2 pounders, right? So I right click that one down, I right click this one down, and then I'm still just backing up and trying to keep my tanks in a line, right? And as all this was happening, I was I just, instead of these 2 expanding cons that were up here that we're gonna maybe branch out and grab this, or maybe start putting some twin guards here, I just told them to move down into this position, right? And then start reclaiming this reclaim field, right? Vacuuming it up like that. And what I'm going to try and do is slowly reinforce this position with tanks, and then keep my tanks in a line. So really important. I don't want to be like pressing forward, right? Even though maybe I have like an army advantage. I can't really tell. Like, I don't have vision, right? That looks like a commander. Let me check. No, it's not. Just a radar wiggle. I saw it moving slightly. I guess that's the radar wobble, right? Yeah, and then here we are, right? I just got my tanks like just barely behind my cons, right? Which I'm pulling back. I don't want to get these sniped. I want to continue reclaiming, so I kind of step forward a little bit, roll backwards, keeping stuff in a line, right clicking down the pounders, and feeling pretty good actually. I kept these 2 cons alive. Actually, somehow they ended up repairing each other. I didn't really need to do that. Maybe it was a misclick that worked in my favor, but let's pause here. Okay, so I'm in a good position. I feel like I'm in a good position, right? I have control of this little reclaim field. He can't quite pressure me off of it, so, and I'm not adding to it, right, so to speak. Maybe there was a couple trades there, but I'm not like blundering units and then giving up the position, right? I'm trying to keep my tanks in a line, right? Not give him the value that he wants from his pounders. And say if I was starting to like lose this position, I would just retreat slightly, right? Just retreat slightly, right, in these lines. But what I was going to get to here is, oh, I did make a second energy storage. I'm just looking at this energy bar, middle bar, and low energy, so that means make basic solars, right? So trying to get these up. Normally I would like make a few extra with like these cons and then right click them with my con turrets, but I'm really focused on controlling this, right? That repair is actually kind of cute. Okay. That was a misclick actually. I meant to be reclaiming with those. So anyway, so maybe this is a blunder. Perhaps some of y'all can let me know here, but instead of like transitioning into air, which transitioning to a second lab, right? Air seems like a bit of a blunder. I've lost a lot of games on a Cetus crack going second air. Bot lab doesn't feel good, right? It's too far away to utilize thugs. We've moved past grunts being good. I don't need res bots, right? I have 2 cons on the reclaim field, so I just settle on a second lab. Maybe this isn't good. Maybe you should focus on like just making extra build power from here and making some more con turrets, you know, scaling win. But you know, in the thick of battle, I just thought, okay, I can slap down another lab, put 5 brutes, 1 pounder on repeat, and either stream them both on one side or just have 1 lab going this way, 1 lab going that way. You can see he moved into thugs himself, right? Which is not a bad choice, like when you're so close to like defending yourself, right? It's a pretty short rush distance, but I think at this point I'm like, all right, I camped the field for long enough. I got a lot of the reclaim. I don't need to control it any longer. I can just focus on, you know, finish securing my half of the map. You know, maybe capping these 2 mexes. See a couple mexes over here, and then, you know, figure out where my next what my next move is gonna be, right? So, which of course is spending my metal, which not doing the best job now. 2,000 metal in the bank is a little sus. It's like pretty much a T2 lab. Maybe I could have done that, but I still feel like the game is a little bit in flux, and he has thugs out, which are pretty strong units, so I don't want to give him the opportunity to pressure me with an army advantage. So I'm going to stay on the 2 labs for a bit, and now I'm thinking, all right, we've reached the point in the game where medium tank raids can happen, right? You can send like 3, 4, 5 medium tanks, just like we were doing with the incisors, and trying to get these raids out, right? Which, you know, medium tanks very good against LLTs, which we can tell, like, you know, Medulla's made quite a bit of them, right? So I don't need to push into here, but what I'm doing is kind of like posturing. I've actually even issued the movement command to kind of like I step to the left and then back up, right? So that draws him this way, and then I just split off a couple tanks and go that way. And then I had a feeling his commander finished expanding over here and is actually like capping this area. So I'm like, all right, I can slip in like this. And then of course I have a couple of tanks and I'm going like that, right? So I'm just still looking to have map control, finish taking my half of the map, and, you know, kind of slightly raiding. Doing a good job spending that metal bank, right? These 2 labs are kind of turned on. I don't want to give these thugs their value, so I'm just doing the same thing, trying to keep my tanks in a line, trying to like kite backwards against these pounders, of course. That was a nice trade. That was a really nice trade for me. I can immediately just turn back into reclaiming now. So suddenly, like, that was just good for me, honestly. Anyways, he has a few raiding units. I'm doing my best to try and like re-secure these positions, right? Continue expanding, continue adding on LLTs and exploiters where I need them, and getting these raids in. So kind of slip through here, clean those up. Maybe I didn't need to move there with my 2 medium tanks. I kind of realized at the last moment they were low on health and couldn't take on those 2 LLTs. And here I felt really good. Like I've got these three constructors reclaiming this 2.4k metal. I can clearly see like I have an army advantage right here. I just can't feed into the exploiters too hard, so should be backing up, right? And then I have another little like group of tanks that are uncontested over here, so just want to continue raiding and pressuring this left side while he's so focused on pressuring me off of this, or you're just contesting this reclaim field, right? And right about now, I would really start thinking, okay, now I can transition to T2, right? It's like maybe well, I have 3 energy storage. Wind kind of sucks right now, but you know, if I stop production on both of these, I could probably get up that T2 lab and reclaim one of them or both of these to kind of pay for that transition. But it doesn't really come to that. Medulla taps out, and we ended up taking the game. So I was pretty happy with this one. I've been trying some new things out. I, of course, made some mistakes along the way. So hopefully this is a format you guys enjoy and would like to see more of. So let me know what you think. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next cast. Cheers.